Hello, everyone. Today I'll be discussing two of the most influential works of the American Revolution, Thomas Paine's Common Sense and Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence, and how they argued that Americans were a new nationality and should form a new nation. Both works, written in 1776, make a compelling case for independence, but they do so in different ways. Paine writes to inspire immediate revolutionary action using passionate rhetoric and moral appeals, while Jefferson crafts a formal legal argument based on Enlightenment principles and the social contract. In this presentation, I'll analyze three key arguments from each work and compare how they make the case for independence. Let's start with Thomas Paine. Common Sense, published in January 1776, was a radical pamphlet that spoke directly to ordinary colonists. Historian Gordon Wood emphasizes that Paine's writing was revolutionary because he translated complex Enlightenment ideas into simple, persuasive arguments that common people could understand. Paine's argument for independence rests on key 3 points. The first point was that monarchy is unnatural and oppressive. Paine attacks, Paine attacks the very idea of monarchy, arguing that no one should rule simply by birthright. He calls hereditary rule an insult to reason, stating a king is not to be trusted in whose hands power is vested. Wood notes that Paine was the first in the colonies to make such direct and bold attack on the monarchy itself. Jefferson, in contrast, does not attack the monarchy as an institution, but focuses on specific abuses of King George III to justify independence. And America has the resources and strength to be independent. Paine reassures colonists that they do not need Britain for economic or military survival. He argues that the colonies are rich in natural resources, Britain rules, hinders trade and economic growth. America could build in its own navy and defend itself. While Paine emphasizes economic and military self-sufficiency, Jefferson focused more on the political and moral necessity of independence. The third is independence is moral and practical necessity. Paine represents revolution as a moral duty, warning that delaying it would only lead to greater suffering. He appeals to the emotion of his readers, writing, "The blood of the slain, the weeping voice of the nature cries, 'tis time to part." Paine's argument is urgent and emotional, appealing to the moral conscience of the people. Jefferson, in contrast, takes a calm and reasoned approach, presenting a structural legal case for independence. Now let's turn to the Declaration of Independence, adopted on July 4, 1776. Unlike Common Sense, which was designed to rally the people, Jefferson's Declaration was written to provide a formal justification for independence to foreign nations and future generations. Historian Gordon Wood points out that Jefferson framed the Declaration as a legal necessity rather than an emotional call to arms. His argument is also built on three key principles. The first principle is natural rights and the justification for government. Jefferson opens with the famous assertion, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." He draws on John Locke's philosophy of natural rights, arguing that government exists only with the consent of the governed. When a government violates people's rights, they have the right to overthrow it. While both argue their independence is necessary, Paine makes the case urgently and emotionally, whereas Jefferson makes it philosophically and legally. King George III abuses and violations of rights. Jefferson provides 27 grievances against King George III, proving that Britain has broken the social contract. Key grievances include taxation without representation, military occupation of American towns, interference with colonial governments. Unlike Paine, who denounces monarchy in general, Jefferson documents specific injustices committed by the king. And his third principle was the formal declaration of sovereignty. Jefferson ends the document by declaring America a free and independent nation. He asserts that the colonies no longer owe allegiance to Britain. They have the right to govern themselves, form alliances, and trade freely. Paine's Common Sense calls for independence but does not provide a formal declaration. The Declaration of Independence, however, makes the official, legal, and political break from Britain. While both Common Sense and the Declaration of Independence argue for independence, they do so with different methods and audiences. Paine writes to inspire revolution from the ground up, making complex ideas accessible to the masses. Jefferson writes to justify independence on a global and legal level, ensuring diplomatic and historical legitimacy. Paine denounces monarchy outright, while Jefferson takes a more measured approach, detailing how the British government has violated rights. Paine's work was widely read and changed public opinion, while Jefferson's document formally established America as a new nation. In short, Paine's Common Sense was the spark that lit the fire of independence, while Jefferson's Declaration of Independence was the legal framework that solidified the revolution. In conclusion, Paine and Jefferson both argued that Americans are a new nationality and should form a new nation, but they do so in very different ways. Paine's Common Sense speaks to ordinary people using passionate and urgent rhetoric to demand immediate action. Jefferson's Declaration of Independence presents a legal and philosophical case, providing a formal justification for revolution. Both works had an enormous impact. Paine's pamphlet shifted public opinion and built momentum for independence. Jefferson's Declaration made the revolution official and internationally recognized. Together, these documents helped define American identity, democracy, and self-governance, principles that continue to shape the nation today. Thank you for listening.